Jean-Claude Juncker embarks on a challenging journey. A 4-day visit to the Western Balkans, a politically volatile region long neglected by the international community. With countries such as Serbia and Albania eager to join the EU, the visit by the President of the European Commission encourages the belief that Brussels is taking their accession ambitions seriously. Juncker himself also has high hopes for the tour. But what promises can he make his hosts? And will he disappoint some of them? A last look at his notes. Jean-Claude Juncker puts the finishing touches on his speech to the Bosnian Parliament. It's a crucial one. Bosnia and Herzegovina remains one of the region's most troubled states. And Juncker's message is not all positive. Juncker's arrival in Sarajevo is friendly and upbeat. Affable, warm, media savvy, Juncker is nothing if not charming. He's been in politics for nearly 40 years, and his experience is an asset on trips like this one. Juncker is keen to nurture the Balkan countries' accession ambitions and encourage them to implement reforms. Bosnia is pinning its hopes on accession, so there's a lot of potential for disappointment. But Jean-Claude Juncker knows how to couch his message in positive terms.
I'm here to speak to you as equals. I don't want anyone to see me as the strict uncle from Brussels coming here to tell you how to behave. That's important. Nobody likes constantly being told what they have to do next. But nevertheless, that's what I've been doing.
2 hours later, Juncker is in the Bosnian Parliament, listening to the European anthem. A taste of things to come? Juncker is well aware of the widespread scepticism within the EU towards the Balkans.
Above all, you're doing this for your fellow citizens. Put an end to cronyism, corruption, and organized crime, because that's what's chasing away so much investment and preventing the growth of your companies.
His audience hangs on his every word, grateful that the EU finally appears to be paying the country the attention it's been yearning for.
He understands the complexity of the whole situation in the Balkans, and I'm quite convinced that he is a really European. He has a little bit cautious approach from the European side, doesn't want to have new difficulties within the European Union, but he understands the need of this part of Europe to be finally within the European Union.
But will his message have the desired effect? Arrival in Belgrade. In Serbia, the delegation is met by an icy wind. The trip is a physically strenuous one. Does Juncker really need to make this kind of effort at the end of his career?
Man muss den Menschen in der Europäischen Union erklären, dass
People in the EU need to be made aware that the Balkans are on their doorstep. War raged here in the 1990s. Without the promise of EU accession, we could all too easily see a repeat of the conflicts witnessed here in those years.
That promise is central to the policies of Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić. Accession negotiations have been underway since 2014. Juncker praises the progress the country has made. He would like to make Serbia a role model for the rest of the region. That's why he's brought along EU Commissioner Johannes Hahn. He understands the Balkans like few others.
The great thing here, the interesting thing is, the enthusiasm for the EU. Among young people in particular, there's a palpable desire for the values the EU symbolizes. Freedom, the opportunity to pursue your goals. That's something we can be proud of. That's something we can bear in mind here in the Western Balkans.
It's another day and another destination. The press officer and assistants are immersed in their work. Everyone is deep in concentration. But Juncker is already thinking ahead. A major challenge awaits him in Montenegro. En route to the capital, Podgorica. It's hard to believe that this was a war zone just 20 years ago. Not that Juncker gets to see much through the car window.
I'm pretty tired. We all are. We're constantly on the move, shuttling between hotel rooms and offices. I don't get a chance to talk to the people who live here about their dreams, their fears, and I find that regrettable.
But the tour of the Western Balkans is all about EU expansion. The delegation isn't here to meet the people. Next, it's down to brass tacks. Juncker heads into a meeting for another round of talks. But first, a bit of small talk with Montenegro's Prime Minister, Duško Marković. Juncker is well known for his banter and dry humour.
I love snow. It makes you feel so cozy.
That was the easy bit. Montenegro's reforms have been achieving results, and Juncker wants to step up the pace. He has to deal with growing frustration in the Balkans, as people here have long awaited a firm commitment. But Brussels says that unresolved border disputes, corruption, and an economy that still isn't competitive are hampering progress. Many here see EU accession as an empty promise.
I'm not making myself popular on this tour because I'm telling people that I can't give them a specific date. And I'm saying this is what you need to do. This is what you need to sort out. I feel like I'm getting a warm reception, but then a frosty goodbye.
In Albania, he's welcomed at the airport with an embrace. But he and Prime Minister Edi Rama failed to find common ground in their meeting. That's despite the fact that Albania is the most pro-EU country in the region. But that also makes it the most impatient one.
We have done all our homework, and we deserve to have a straightforward recommendation, and then from the member states, the approval to start negotiations.
Juncker refuses to bow to pressure. He knows the score.
I know that lots of people here are impatient, especially young people. There are lots of Albanians, Macedonians, and Serbs scattered across Europe because they don't see a future for themselves here. The Balkans need to know that EU accession is on the cards. But I won't allow myself to be railroaded. First, I want to see change, and then we can talk about dates.
That's what he tells Albanian President Ilir Meta. Diplomacy is all about walking a fine line.
We have to be careful not to only think of the people here in the Western Balkans, which is complex enough given the internal divisions, but we must also think of the people in the EU, in its existing form. Enlargement can't be rushed. Goals need to be fleshed out carefully. Achieving goals in Europe is like growing wrinkles on your face. You have to work hard for them.
Juncker won't be in office to see the Western Balkan countries integrated into the EU. He'll step down in 2019, but for the time being, he's doing everything in his power to secure the future of the European project.